Hello guys, welcome to the video. In this one, I want to show you how to create an enemy in the game. Basically, we're going to make a simple respawn system. And it should be pretty easy if you have a little bit of experience or if you did complete a crash course section. So let's do it. Let's create a respawn point first. Usually in tower defense games, it is some kind of a portal, and that's what we prepared. If you go to meshes and open this folder that is named build-9 portal, you'll find mesh for enemies portal that looks just like this. I think it's really nice one, and that's what we're gonna use. Let's create some sort of a space for it. I think we can do it over here. I'm gonna switch to orientation and top-down perspective, and let's adjust the level a little bit. We're gonna make it smaller over here. Then let's extend the road up to here, and then let's duplicate it, move it to the right, and let's make size of this road 3 by 3 and move it closer over here. Nice. Now we need to surround it with the field blocks, so maybe we can just duplicate this one like that. And duplicate again, move it here, and maybe some area over here. Sorry, let's duplicate it and extend it. Regarding area over here, I think it's okay, we can keep it like that. Maybe we can even reduce it over here. Yeah, it's fine. Alright, so let's close these. Let's take the nav mesh and bake area again, and then we need to place this respawn point over there. I can see it's somewhat of a 3 and -5 on the X and Z, so we can go ahead, take this portal. Where is it? Did I delete it? Yes, I did delete it. Okay, let's take a new one and set it on the 3 on the X. No, wait, 4, 5. 5 and 0. Wait a second, I need to find position for it. Goes like that and like that. Okay, so it's 5 and 0. I like it. Now let's do prefab unpack completely, and let's change the name to enemies portal with the capital letters. Nice. Now we need to apply visuals to it because it is not pretty right now. We're gonna take portal and we'll go to materials and choose main material. Then we need to assign emission over here. The idea is that it works like a portal, so this part's supposed to be shiny. We're gonna click over here and type yellow, and there is emission yellow. Yeah, this is just what we need. Also, I've just understood something. We probably should have some sort of an area where we create enemy, and then this enemy is supposed to walk out of a portal. But I did not think of it before. So I'll talk to my partner, we'll see if we can do something about it. Come up with something nice, I'll let you know, and we're gonna just update the visuals of the portal. Now, there is a wheel part over here, and it's supposed to spin around, just like parts of the castle. So we can add rotate object script. Vector of the rotation should be X. So let's do 1 on the X. And for the speed, let's try something like 5. Nice. So now we have a respawn point. Probably it's a good idea to make it as a prefab. So let's do it. And let's set up respawn system. For that, I'm gonna make new object, enemy manager. Yeah, why not? Let's add the script of enemy manager. And let's open this script. Now I just want to show you how to make one enemy at the start, and then I'm going to show you how to make multiple enemies with a cooldown. So to create an enemy, we need a prefab, which we already have over here. Now we need to make a reference to this prefab, and then we need to create it in the game. This is how you do it. You make serialized field, private game object, basic enemy, And I don't want to type prefab word over here in the name because we're going to have multiple enemies and it's going to be kind of clear it is prefabs. Maybe we can just make a header, enemies, enemy prefabs, like that. And we need a respawn point reference. So I'm going to do serialize field, private transform, respawn. Okay, nice. Now let's open start method. And this is how you create object in the game. You type instantiate, then you give it an original object that you want to create, which is basic enemy. Then you give it a position. In our case, it is respawn.position because we need a vector 3. And then you give it a rotation. Usually, rotation is not that important when you instantiate it, because if you want to have some specific rotation, you apply this rotation to the object after you create it. This is how it's usually done. But you can also do it in here. For us, however, it does not really matter. We can just type Cartonian identity, which basically means like do not apply any rotation. So let's save everything and let's go and see how it works. You're gonna go back to Unity. I'm gonna delete enemy basic from here. We don't need it now. Then on the enemy manager, we need to assign portal as a respawn. And for the prefab, we need to go to prefabs and drag enemy basic over here. Now, once I go to play mode, new enemy is going to be created. Boom, it is there. And it is walking by the waypoints, which is just what we need. But that's not everything. We need to improve system a little bit more. It is a good idea to have a method for this. So let's do private void create enemy. And we can take this line of code, cut it out, paste it in here, and then call this method in the start. Yeah. And again, usually it's a good idea to make a local variable of a game object and make it equals to just newly instantiated object. In this way, if you need to do something with newly created object, maybe like destroy it, you can type destroy new enemy, or maybe get a component from that enemy. For example, new enemy, get component of navmesh agent. You can do that. That's why we're creating a reference, so we can use it in the future. And we might use it in the future, and that's why I'm going to keep the line of code as it is, even though for now we're not using this new enemy local variable. Nice. Now let's talk about cooldown and how it's going to work. I'm going to remove this start method. We're not going to use it for now. And I'm going to make two new variables. And they're going to be public for now. Let's do public float, spawn cooldown, and public float, spawn timer. And then let's go to update and type something simple. Spawn timer minus equals time.delta time. So if you see time.delta time for the first time, you should know that it gives you interval between frames, if to be precise from the last frame to current one, in seconds. And this value will adjust itself according to the FPS value you have on the machine. If your FPS is high, then this value will be small. If your FPS is low, then this value will be high. And that means that this value will even out itself automatically. You don't need to worry about that. If it sounds confusing, you can basically say that this value makes any calculation frame rate independent. And in this case, because it returns time in seconds and it is frame rate independent, it's gonna work as timer. Let's save everything and let's just go to Unity and see how it works. Here it is, spawn timer that we're reducing with a time.delta time. And if we go to play mode, we can see how timer goes below 0. It gets negative more and more and more and more. Just like seconds. And thanks to that, we can create a respawn timer. Let's exit play mode. Let's go back to the script and let's do something simple. And also, just in case, I'll say that if you type something like this, spawn timer equals to spawn timer minus time.delta time, it's going to be the same. It's just different way of writing the same thing, and you can write it as you like. Okay, so we're gonna do check. If spawn timer is less or equals to 0, then it is time to create a new enemy. And we're gonna do create new enemy method. And then we're gonna do spawn timer equals to spawn cooldown, spawn cooldown, which will give it a positive value. It will make it equals to 3, for example. Then it's gonna reduce itself again to 0. Once it is 0, it's gonna set itself to 3 again, it's gonna create new enemy, and it's gonna reduce itself again automatically. Let's go to Unity and see this in the action. We're gonna give cooldown of 3, and we're gonna go to play mode and see how it works. You can see timer is reduced. Once it is 0, new enemy walks out. 0, new enemy walks out. And also once it is 0, it becomes equals to 3 again. And also it is reducing itself. And that's how we get in a simple cooldown for enemy creation. If you want to know more on how to work with cooldowns in Unity, if there are different ways to do that, I'm gonna attach video to this lecture, which you can watch and see more about it. You can extend your knowledge about cooldowns and timers. Yeah. Okay, so let's exit play mode. Let's go back to enemy manager. And let's make this private, because we don't need to see it. We know how it works. And this value over here can be serialized field private. And maybe let's place transform above like that. All right, this looks like something what we need, and I think we can save it and go to the next video. It works pretty fine. Now we need to make some sort of a wave manager that we're gonna use later on.